Hello, and welcome to Meeting in the Flesh, Part 8. Today is the eclipse in the game, and it'll be day 3, so it'll be the final day. And we'll get to probably, I assume Naya's going to ask us to spin the eclipse with him, and we're going to get to see, like, what his end looks like. I'm very excited for that. So, I think, without further ado, let's just get into it. I jerk awake to the sound of my alarm beetle buzzing. I immediately close my eyes and roll back over, burying my face into my pillow. The desire to go back to sleep is tremendous, which is pretty unusual. I almost never have trouble waking up in the morning, but my limbs still hurt a little bit after all the sprinting yesterday. My thoughts drift to the time I spent at Naya's place, to the incredible warmth and intimacy in the atmosphere, and the thought gently arouses me. I gingerly rub my face before sitting up. I sit up in bed, scuffing a hand over my face and picking off the pus that's dried over my eye during the night. A cursory check of the time tells me I'm not late, but I should move quickly. I want to be on time, so I do. And I try very hard not to think about the eclipse. I'll have the time to spare for that once I'm actually on my route. Huh? I told you, take the day off. I'd made it to work on time, squeezing past some loitering crowds in the streets, jogging the last stretch of the way to the salts plant, but only to find the place quieter than usual, though there was still the familiar rustle of salt pouring into filters, the scrape of long poles mixing through vats, and the glop of honey being emptied by the bucket. There were fewer workers than usual. The boss seemed a little less harried than usual, too, and when he beckoned me over, he sprang that surprise on me. Delivery roster today is short. He has the delivery list in hand, and he flips through the pages, swiftly double-checking each one with a stubby pencil. Turns out a lot of people asked to have their delivery for today put on hold, heading out of town because of the eclipse, I imagine. Or have plans of some sort. Whatever the reason, we barely have half the usual number of deliveries. Scratches at the scales on his snout with the back end of his pencil. Felt silly making all of you run your routes, so I reorganized the routes, and a few of you who have barely taken any days off, so I'm giving you today to rest. Go enjoy the eclipse. I automatically give a dip of the head in thanks, but it still hasn't properly sunk in yet. I build my daily schedule around my work, and suddenly being told that I have the whole day to myself is jarring. That scared me so bad. Oh my god, that should not have startled me. I've literally played through this section before. And the other route. Ugh. The boss seems to notice my hesitation and gives me a hard clap on the back. Even if he meant it playfully, he's a strong guy, and that casual whap is almost enough to bowl me over. He laughs as I wheeze. Go on, Git. You're young. Go do something fun. You deserve it. You're sure there isn't something I should be doing? You doubting me? No, sir. The thought of leaving the salt plant so early in the day, and empty-handed at that, is almost off-putting. I can't remember the last time I took a day off so suddenly. This job is just habit to me, and I stand in place watching the rest of the plant for a few moments. What are you waiting for? Oh, nothing. The boss huffs out a sigh and takes his mask, that makes his puff mask. Ooh, makes his puff mask out. The buff? Oh my god. The boss huffs out a sigh and makes his mask puff out. We got it. We did it. We did it, folks. Go do something nice, kid. Special day and all? Isn't there anyone you want to spend the eclipse with? For some reason, my thoughts immediately go to Naya. He's at the store as usual, I assume, tending to his bees. Maybe I should pay him a visit. Right, I will. I wonder why I didn't think of that sooner. Even if I'm not a big believer in the eclipse as a pivotal day in one's life, it's still a special day. It would be nice to spend the day doing something relaxing, and I can think of few places nicer than Naya's store. The boss seems ready to turn his attention back to his work, but he looks up promptly when I call out to him. Hey, boss? Yeah? What are you gonna do during the eclipse? He smiles, the mask straining to stay in place on his snout. I can almost picture all his teeth he's showing. The boss doesn't smile often, but when he does, it's very kind. It's a pity the mask is in the way. I'll be watching the eclipse with my partners while we enjoy a packet of mercury salt together. Mercury salt? That's right. Gives a proud puff, arms across his chest. Jin thought it was extravagant, but I know Dearth loves it, so I went for it, and I'll let this special day go by without doing something nice for the loves of my life. That sounds really nice. I hope you have a nice evening. We will, so you should too. I wish the boss a good day, and leave soon afterward. I don't want to delay him any further when there's still work to do. Hopefully he and everyone else at the plant will be able to finish up quickly and enjoy the rest of their day. Though I do still feel some guilt about taking off by myself when everyone else is working so hard. I also don't want to waste the time that was kindly given to me. Standing out in the streets, I watch people go by for a few minutes. It's actually not as crowded as I feared it would be. No doubt a lot of people are traveling, or already holed up with people important to them. Far down the street I can see what looks like a small brawl. I guess that might also be something important to the people involved, but I do hope it doesn't last too long. It would be awful to spend the eclipse day in a salt bath. My goodness, I'll never get over the salt baths. Which I'm trying to think if you just watched like the Naya parts of this route, if you have seen the salt baths, but oh my goodness, they're so bad. Tugging my cloak closer around myself, I inhale deeply. The air feels electric, stinging at my nose. Alright, I guess I should get moving. The streets are abuzz with activity as I head towards Naya's store. The area near the store is always moderately populated, of course, but everything feels different today. You know, something smelled stinky? I think it's Dimitri. He meowed at me. Oh, you dirty poopy boy. There's litter all over your paws. No! Okay, I'm back. I feel like if anyone watching this has cats, they will understand where I'm coming from. If they do not, I feel like they will be judging me. Basically, my cat, he has a sensitive tummy, so he gets a lot of diarrhea. Sometimes me and my partner have to double check to kind of make sure that he doesn't have anything left on his butt, or he'll get it on our bed sheets, basically. He's done that before, I think while I was recording this game, one of the earlier parts, and I had to like wash our duvet cover or something. The reason it smelled bad, I turned around and I was like, oh no, he got litter on the bed again. And then I looked more closely, and he, you know, had a little poopy in his claws, in his back foot, and he was in fact not clean on his butt, so I had to go clean his paws, clean his butt for him, and then throw me and my partner's blankets in the wash. And this is why we affectionately call him our little poopy butt baby, or poopy butthole boy, which might sound vulgar, but I promise you, he's earned it. And if you have a cat, I'm sure you have weird names for them. It just so happens he's acquired this one because he has poop problems. But now he's laying on the bed behind me again on a fresh, clean blanket with freshly wiped off paws and butt, so it's been taken care of. So I hope you enjoyed this diversion from the game. Anyways, let me make sure I didn't accidentally click anything when I jumped up. Okay, I don't think I skipped anything. Okay. God. The area near the stores is always moderately populated, of course, but everything feels different today. People are clustered in groups, many talking amongst themselves instead of bustling in and out of stores. Many establishments, too, seem to have given up on operating their usual fashion, instead shutting down completely or flinging their doors open to throw portions of their product out to a jittery crowd. store selling blood samples flings its door open just as I'm passing by, and I'm almost knocked down by a crowd that rushes in. I manage to duck out of the way just before the proprietor begins lobbing small bladders of blood out of the door. Some burst open upon impact, splashing people with wide sprays of pungent red. A delicious smell begins to fill the air, and the crowd cheers as the storekeeper announces, "This is but a minuscule sample of the very rare stock we've procured today for your very special day." That part of the game, it's just the bloodbaths and like the blood aspect. I'm always just like, ugh. Earthwell blood, still warm, brought fresh from the city across the desert. Shortly, we will begin an auction for this incredibly valuable stock. Truly, an item worth procuring for the celebration of an eclipse. Part of me is curious, of course. My mouth is watering slightly just from the smell in the air. But this is not where I should be. And the auction of rare blood samples, though interesting, is not something I want to spend too much time on. Not today. I step out of the way as several more people run past me, eager to join the crowd that's growing before the blood store's entrance, and turn the corner. The sweet scent of honey immediately washes over me. It's a softer, gentler scent than the immediate metallic tang of blood. But it's one that's stronger, slowly seeping past the sharp taste in the air and enveloping me. Enveloping me softly. There's something deeply comforting about the smell, rather like Naya's presence, I think. Behind me, I can still hear shouts and cheers, but I pay them no mind and instead approach the door to Naya's store. Will open later. Handwritten sign bleached onto the curtain-covered window stops me in my tracks. And all the time I've delivered to Naya's store, I've never once seen him fail to open his store at the usual time. My first thought is that he decided to take the day off for some justified rest and relaxation. But the sign says later as opposed to tomorrow. The rowdiness of the crowd behind me sends a small prickle of worry racing down my spine, and I uneasily rap at the window. Naya, are you there by any chance? I dearly hope nothing's happened to him. And within moments I hear muffled sounds of movement past the door, following shortly by the click of a keratin lock's horn sliding back into its casing. Vil? The door opens a crack just enough so I can see Naya's mouth murmuring my name. His voice is quiet. Sorry to bother you, I was just surprised. I don't think I've ever seen the store closed at this time. Is everything alright? Yes, everything's fine. Thank you for worrying. It's certainly an unusual situation, but Naya's tone of voice is calm and unruffled. Maybe I'd worried over nothing. So I nod and decide to give Naya a parting greeting before I leave. So you'll drop by later, tell him not to do anything too strange? Ask him to get in touch if anything comes up. I guess I'll drop by later? Be assertive? I guess we could just ask him to get in touch if anything comes up that way. The ball's in his court. We're letting him know we want to hang out, but like, he can ultimately say yes or no. He might just want to be left alone for now, but just in case, I might be best if I keep myself available. I keep fiddling with my mic because whenever I threw it off earlier to go take care of Dimitri, I think I adjusted it, and now I'm worried that the audio is going to sound bad. Like, it has to be in like exact, like specific spots for it to like sound okay. If it's like too far, it's too muffled, but if it's too close, then you can hear every breath I have. Okay. Well, I'll head off for now then, but in case anything comes up, just relay a message to my boss, alright? I'll drop by the factory again later, so just in case. Naya pauses, then gives a small nod. Thank you, Vil. I appreciate it. With that, I turn to leave. Vil, wait. Naya's voice remains somewhat quiet, but there's a firmness to it that easily cuts through the distant hubbub in the street. If you can hear a bell right now, that's Dimitri scratching his collar. He's just wanting to star in today's video a lot. You cleaning your paws, you dirty, dirty little man? As you should. I stop in my tracks and look back to him. Yes? Actually, he's quiet for a moment longer before continuing. If you aren't terribly busy, would you like to come in? Oh, hell yeah, we're in. The streets seem busy, so maybe it would be best for you to wait inside until the crowd disperses a little. Yeah, for the crowd to disperse a little, right? You must have caught sight of the crowd past my shoulder. People are still pushing their way to front of the crowd before the blood sample store, shouting out bids for the treasured container of Earthwell blood. Admittedly, I don't look forward to waiting through that crowd. The store is completely empty and quiet. Naya's establishment is so popular that I've never seen it without at least a few customers. It's an odd feeling, standing in the store surrounded by the... It's an odd feeling, standing in the store surrounded by the peaceful hum of drowsy bees and the gentle scent of honey, without the usual presence of people wandering around looking at the wares. Thanks for letting me in. Of course, don't mention it. Good. The buzzing was really loud last time I recorded, so... There we go. We'll wait until it's done. I had to, lower the buzzing specifically while editing so that you could still hear my voice. A good number of cage doors are open. Some bees remain in their homes, cleaning themselves or sleeping. Others wander about the store, waddling around the floor and inspecting their surroundings. One bumps into my leg and I pick it up. It might be the same bee from the other night. Are the bees supposed to be wandering around right now? I let them walk around in the mornings before I open up. It keeps them calmer during the day. They get some of the energy out of their systems earlier. I see. It's really cute. He's like a little beekeeper. It's adorable. I carry the bee with me as I continue around the store, letting it chew on the fold of my cloak. Oh, I love the bees in this gift so much. They're so cute. I love bees in general, to be clear, but these bees are just chef's kiss. The atmosphere of the store might feel a little different without any guests, but it also feels very familiar and comforting. I'm sorry, Dimitri's just cleaning him still. Not gotten over your shame yet, huh? So precious. Nasty boy. The calm air, the well-used furniture, the clean floor. Naya, meanwhile, is seated by the counter with a tiny paper portion of salt. It's the tiniest portion of salt I've ever seen. It looks like an eighth of a block, maybe, possibly less. My first instinct is to look away in case Naya doesn't want to be seen eating, but I can't help pondering it curiously for a moment. Naya must have caught me staring because he nudges the minuscule portion of salt with the tip of a tentacle. My goodness. You caught me in the middle of my breakfast, you see. Oh, sorry, should I wait over there at the back of the store? There's no need, I won't be much longer. Decided to turn away, absently stroking the bee in my arms. But I can't help noticing that, despite what he said, Naya doesn't eat anymore. There's no rustling of crumbling salt particles, no crunching between teeth. When I glance over again, the tiny salt pile hasn't changed at all. Naya seems to be staring at the window, mouth slightly open as if deep in thought. The thought occurs to me that perhaps he invited me into the store for a reason. What should I say, though? Ask if he's alright, ask if he's planning on eating you. What the fuck? So you could just be an asshole. Ask if there's something on his mind, ask if there's a reason he let you in. Ask if there's something on his mind. The conversation from the previous night, still fresh in my mind, I wonder if there's something on his mind. Naya, is there something bothering you? It seems his mind was elsewhere. There's a pause before he realizes what I said. This and that, I suppose. It's nothing to worry about. He doesn't manage to sound entirely convincing, but I also don't want to press him too hard. Well, alright. If you're sure. But what made you think so? Well, it's not a big deal, but I just noticed you weren't eating. I wasn't sure if maybe you were bothered by something. Naya doesn't answer. Instead, there's just the gentle rustling sounds of him pushing a crumbling piece of salt around in its paper container. It falls apart, sandy particles of salt scuffing about the smooth paper beneath his touch. It's nothing to worry about, I just don't have much appetite at the moment, I suppose. All the noise and energy outside has thrown me off my rhythm somewhat. I don't eat a large amount in the first place, so it isn't anything to worry about. I see. Glance out the window. There's only a small gap in the curtains, so it's hard to make out the entirety of the blood sample store, but from the way people are still clamoring out in the street, eyes directed towards the storefront and shouting, it's easy to tell the auction is still ongoing. It's easy to understand how the constant bustle might cause Naya a good deal of stress. That's understandable, but I do hope it dies down before long. You always work so hard, so you need to be extra careful about taking care of yourself. And what would your bees do if you got sick? I smile as I hold up the bee in my arms. It wriggles its legs in the air, wings fluttering in indignity as it casts about. Evidently, this one doesn't like being held up in that fashion, so I quickly go back to cradling it in my elbow. It briefly gnaws on my fingers in retaliation before settling back down. So maybe don't push yourself too hard, but just make sure to eat enough to keep you going. Naya regards me in silence for a long moment. I get the distinct feeling that he's about to say something, that something very important is on the very tip of his tongue. Naya? A tinge of worry creeps into my voice. I draw a step closer to the counter. I'd kept a little distance, wanting to keep from crowding him as he ate, but I feel like it's no longer the time for that. Feels like I need to be closer to Naya now, to unravel what it is that is making him so distracted today. Are you sure you're all right? Phil? Yes? I find myself standing up a little straighter. There's a distinct edge to Naya's voice, almost like he sounds angry, and it catches me completely off guard. So what he says next is completely unexpected. I'm sorry. I lied to you. I lied to you indirectly when I said my dislike of salt is the only reason those rumors about me exist. I see. The sudden confession is admittedly kind of worrying, but the worry is not just for myself. The time that I've known him, Naya has always been quiet but frank and considerate, never the type to lie just for personal gain. There must have been a significant reason for him to have lied to me. As if sensing the sudden tension in the air, the bee I've been holding starts to squirm. Its wings flapping against my arms, I crouch down to watch it skitter away, joining a few of its friends where they sit together near a heating vent and bask in the warm air. Is it gonna be like he prefers blood or something? Like, if he had it his way, he'd just have blood instead of salt? Or just honey or something? I don't know. Because, like, if it was the whole rumor is that he, like, eats people or something. So, I don't know. Speculation. Because he was kind of off-put by the people with the blood in the street. Alright, thank you for telling me. I look up at Naya, choosing each word carefully. Then if it's alright with you, could you tell me the real reason the rumors exist? Naya remains quiet. An uncomfortable silence settles over the both of us, weighing down on us. Then he moves towards the window. As he approaches it, he reaches out a tentacle and pulls the curtain completely shut. The interior of the store is a little darker without that little gap. But his tentacle lingers afterwards, touching briefly against the glass through the curtain before withdrawing. In truth, Phil, when he does speak up, his voice is quiet, almost enough to be drowned out by the commotion outside. As if realizing that, he moves back away from the window and towards the counter where his salt remains forgotten. I follow suit, getting to my feet and drawing close to better listen to him. It's just in time to hear him continue. In truth, Phil, I am a manner of parasite. I don't devour people, it's nothing of the sort. But I do get my sustenance from other people. I only need a tiny amount of salt as a supplement to keep my body healthy, but I could survive for weeks without any salt. Very different from you, from almost everyone else. Someone who doesn't need salt. I've never even heard of it before. I can't help staring. It takes me a long moment to drop my gaze down to the tiny amount of salt sitting on the counter. No wonder Naya got so few deliveries compared to most of the others of his size. I see. That's pretty incredible. But then if you don't need salt, what do you live off of? Especially since you say you're a parasite. Energy. Energy? Naya nods, as if confirming something very mundane, like the price of one of his products or the weather outside, but in contrast to his steadfast demeanor, his voice remains quiet and tense. I can tell he's told very few, if any other people about this, and it spurs me to focus all the more on this very important confession. When people are excited or ecstatic, they expend a small amount of energy in the air. Similar to how the body produces heat, that energy lingers in the air, and I inhale it to absorb it back into my body. Okay, so that's part of why he probably has, like, a bee store. Is it brings in so many people and they get, like, excited about the honey and stuff? Me and my kind, I'm sure there are many others who are similar to us at first glance, but we're unique in that aspect. We have many mouths to better comb the atmosphere for that energy, and the core of our bodies is made to effectively absorb that energy, like water. and so I live off of others. A parasite. That doesn't sound quite right. That decisive response slips from my mouth before I can stop myself. Naya turns toward me, silently demanding that I continue, and I feel vaguely embarrassed. My face feels a little hot as I scuff a hand through my hair, gingerly pulling the strands away from where they've stuck to the pus on my face. I mean, I've known parasitic species, admittedly not a lot of them, but they always need something more directly from their host, don't they? Whether it's blood or hair or chitin? I know parasites can have a bad reputation if they're selfish, but most will compensate the host in some way, so I don't think parasites are wrong, in the wrong either. They're just doing what they have to survive. But regardless, what you're saying sounds different. It's harmless, isn't it? Is it, Phil? Naya shakes his head gently. The lax way his tendrils rest upon the countertop seem oddly melancholy. I reach out to rest a hand on one. He notices the gesture. Naya doesn't show it, only continuing quietly. If he notices the gesture, Naya doesn't show it, only continuing quietly. I thought the same when I was younger. But I'm afraid it's not so simple. Because I require people to be excited or happy in order to sustain myself. My motives are always questioned. If people know that if I benefit from their happiness, then they'll often question my reasons for doing anything. That kind of vaguely reminds me, this might be a little tangential, but it reminds me of, like, that whole debate if anyone can, like, be kind selflessly, because the feeling of being kind and, like, doing, like, kind acts is rewarding in and of itself. Like, it makes you feel good. And so it's, like, a debate, like, well, can you actually be selfless and, like, be kind? And, because, like, you're technically getting something from it, and I personally don't, like, just because, like, you get a good feeling from it doesn't mean it's not selfless, I feel like. Like, I don't know. That's a tangent, but that's what this reminds me of. I think part of it has to be, like, intentions, you know? Like, if he's not intending to harm anyone, and he does want them to be happy purely for the sake of being happiness, and, like, him kind of sustaining himself is just kind of, like another aspect of it, like, I don't think it's really, like, a problem, you know? Like, if he was, like, I don't know, let's say he had a group of friends, and he enjoyed their company, and being around them and their enjoyment kind of sustained him. If he was, like, pretending to be their friend for the sake of the sustenance alone, I would say that's bad. But if he's, like, genuinely their friend, genuinely enjoys their company, and it helps sustain him, then it's like, you know, not so bad. I don't know. I'm rambling. Anyways, let's get back into it. Trusted friends are different, of course. Those who know me well know that sustenance is not so high up on my list of priorities. But I can't expect every stranger, every customer, every acquaintance to know me to the same degree. Every person who came to know this trait of mine questioned whether I actually cared about their well-being and happiness, or if I was simply hungry and wanted to benefit from their happiness. Take the store, for instance. It would be dishonest of me to say I don't benefit from the joy people get upon entering a bee store and bathing in the scents. Their delight fills me in a way you can't imagine. I've almost never gone hungry since the store started doing well. But at the same time, I don't run the store just to fill my belly. If I were to change by some magic and suddenly need to eat salt like everyone else, I would still keep the store open until my death. I've loved bees since I was younger, and it has always been my dream to spread that love to other people. So, to have that dream of mine shadowed by doubt, he inhales deeply, sucking in the air past two mouthfuls of gritted teeth. Other mouths have their lips pulled thin, and I can sense the undercurrent of frustration in his core. I gently rub at his tentacle, wanting to calm him down, and he finally seems to notice. He rests one of his other tentacles on my hands, and seems to calm him down. I moved far away from my hometown as soon as I was able, and I settled down here. I took care not to let anyone know of my nature, and thus I was able to cultivate this store and watch everyone be happy with my bees and my honey. I regret nothing. Naya's voice peters off with a long exhale. I need a few moments to digest this information. It's a lot. Explains a lot. I'd always thought Naya was a rather secretive person. but it makes sense he would keep to himself if he wanted to protect the secret. I can see why people might treat him differently after finding out about the secret. They might not be cruel, but their treatment of him would be different, at the very least. It must be hard. Naya gives the smallest of nods, mouth closed. So I decide to make my move. Oh, hell yeah, Vil. Walk around the counter, and I embrace him. I'm not tall enough to reach the core of his body, of course, even if I stand up on the tips of my claws and strain upwards. But at least I can wrap my arms around his tentacles and hold them close. I'm sorry things have been rough for you, Naya. Eating is such a fundamental part of life. It must have been hard. Wanting not to distance people, but at the same time needing to keep such a big secret. I get it now, how much you must have had to work towards it. So I really appreciate you telling me. It means a lot that you trust me with this information. I don't think of you any differently for it, of course. I know you're kind to people regardless. And you've always been considerate towards me, in a way that I know isn't just to keep yourself full. I've always been happy to be around you. Sincerely. Thank you. I feel like my voice was getting too soft in some parts. Ugh! That was so cute, though. So sweet. A gentle touch slithers up my back as Naya's tentacles wind around my shoulders, my sides, my chest, pulling me close. Naya's whole body smells faintly of honey, but also of his own naturally spicy scent. Spicy. And it tickles at my nose as I lean into the embrace. He's wonderfully warm to be close to. I can feel every breath that he is from the core of his body, tickling past my skin. No, thank you, Vil. I've been keeping this secret for so long. But for you, I knew you would still trust me. Of course. Nothing would ever make me doubt you, Naya. We stay like that for a few good moments, and then Naya slowly withdraws his tentacles. Taking that as a signal, I disentangle myself from his tendrils and step back. After that display of vulnerability, Naya seems uncharacteristically awkward, fidgeting with a tiny portion of salt still out on the counter. It's up to me to break the silence. So I guess you only need to eat that much salt today? Naya sighs, rubbing a tendril across the spot between two of his mouths. Actually, I meant to eat this much to keep myself in peak condition, but with all the excitement and energy in the air, I'm unspeakably full. I feel like I might be sick if I had to eat this, so I'd been stalling when you showed up. In some ways, inviting you in was just an excuse to stall some more. I can't help but laugh. It's such an innocently childish reaction. Such an innocently childish action, and it seems at odds with Naya's mature, calm demeanor. Naya huffs as if embarrassed, wrapping the salt back up in its paper packet. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I just didn't expect it from you. But I'm really glad it happened. I wouldn't have gotten to know you better like this otherwise. So I'm happy to have been your excuse. Naya nods, but the touch of warmer color in his flesh suggests he's also happy with that arrangement. Now then. Stepping out from around the counter, Naya heads towards the window, and I put down the bee I was been holding and follow him. Certainly it doesn't look like the commotion outside is going to die down anytime soon. He's right. If anything, the crowd's grown even larger. Someone is jostled by the crowd and stumbles into the window, and he at least shoots us an apologetic glance through the gap in the curtain before returning his attention to whatever's captivated the crowd. I suppose you could try to run past them. You're a quick runner. Are you on a tight schedule today? Oh, to be honest, I have the day off, and I don't have any plans. I just wanted to drop by and see how you were doing. I see. That's very sweet of you. Naya reaches out a tentacle to pat me on the back. Then maybe it would be best for us to spend the day quietly, especially if we don't have any plans for the eclipse. What were you planning on doing today, before I got here? Clean the bee cages mostly, and groom some of them, if I had the time. Can I help if you'd like? I can help if you'd like. So eager to work even on your day off? Listen, Vil, grade A workaholic. Absolutely. One mouth twists to a lopsided grin, another barring its teeth in a rumbling laugh. Your diligence always astounds me. Well, I figure as long as I'm here, I should do something. Grade A workaholic. Yesterday was fun. I don't mind the work, and if it's helpful to you, I want to do it. If you insist. Come on. Let's start with cleaning the cages. Cleaning the cages ends up taking up the entirety of the morning and a good portion of the afternoon, enough that Naya decides to amend the store in the store I think that's supposed to say sign. Enough that Naya decides to amend the sign in the window, saying he's closed today. It's Eclipse Day after all, no need to feel bad about taking the day off. Once we're done cleaning, store's air feels bitingly fresh, the sharp scent of cleaning herbs stinging it into the nose with each inhale. But it's soon tempered by the soothing aroma of bee pheromones and honey as Naya moves on to grooming several bees whose coats are growing unruly. The bees relax beneath the steady snip-snip of Naya's shears, drooling honey onto the grooming mat. I mostly watch, as this work requires training and finesse that I don't have. It's wonderfully relaxing. It's bee grooming ASMR. Time goes by quickly, and before I even realize it, it's nearing the time of the eclipse. Naya has to point it out to me. It's grown awfully noisy outside. Oh, you're right. I pull back the curtains, just enough to take a quick peek outside. The crowd outside the blood sample store has dispersed, at least, but the streets are noisier than ever. People mill about, holding hands and tugging each other along, pointing off in different directions. I need to press my ear against the glass to understand what's going on. Oh, the eclipse is soon. I think everyone's trying to find good places to watch it. Ah, I see. Phil? I let the curtain drop as I look back down. At the back of my mind, I hope nobody saw that. I wouldn't want anyone to notice the store is occupied and barge in asking to be let up on the roof for the good view. If you don't have any other plans for the eclipse, would you like to watch it with me? Of course. Really hoping you can't hear my washing machine in the other room. I should have closed the door, but I didn't think that far ahead. Naya might have expected me to hesitate from the way he worded it, but it's an easy answer for me to give. I'd love to watch it with you. Should we head up to the roof? Wait just a moment. Naya wants to prepare a few things first. Small container of salt biscuits and another of tea. Because it wouldn't hurt to enjoy ourselves during the special occasion, he says. Once the preparations are made, we head up the ladder that leads to the roof of the store. The view from the roof is nice. There are higher buildings around, of course, as well as ones with tall spires. The view from those high places must be fabulous, I imagine. But for the two of us, the roof of Naya's store is perfect. There are empty crates here and there, formerly used to store old supplies in broken containers. Naya drags a few closer to the edge so we can take a seat. We share the tea and biscuits. Are you excited, Naya? Somewhat, but not as much as most people, I imagine. Probably not. I laugh as I take a sip of my tea. Around us, people are starting to bustle onto the rooftops. Others leaning out their windows to get good looks at the sky. Some whoop and shout with the excitement. Others popping open expensive bottles of honeyed liquor. All around us, people exude excitement and anticipation. This isn't too much for you, is it? The atmosphere, you know? Naya seems to get what I mean after a few moments, and his mouth breaks into a grin. One tentacle reaches forward to brush the hair from my face and pat me on the shoulder. I'm perfectly fine. Thank you for asking. No need to worry about me. Especially now that it's begun. The tentacle on my shoulder shifts up past my cheek to point towards the sky. And we raise our gazes up past the horizon. We see the suns begin to collide. The light is almost blinding when the sun's shape begin to overlap, their glows combining to something truly radiant. The warmth that washes over us seems to magnify twofold, threefold. More than one person below on the streets shouts in delight, followed by murmurs of amazement. I scoot over my crate, thoughtlessly pulling myself closer to Naya. He drapes a tentacle over my shoulder. Even before the moon begins to eat away at the sun's shapes, something deep within us screams that this is a special moment. Something monumental was about to begin. We do not want to be alone during it. My fingers wrap around the tip of Naya's tentacle, squeezing around its warm, fleshy tip. I haven't said anything this entire time when reading those parts with the tentacles, but I've been thinking it. And you know what I've been thinking. It's so awkward to read sometimes. But we remain silent as the skies begin to darken. The change is immediate. As soon as the moon's outline begins carving into the sun's glow, the skies lose that magnificent luster. An odd murmur washes through the crowd on the streets, and even those sitting on rooftops or leaning out windows try to get a closer look. The light bouncing off the clouds is also distorted, throwing a crescent-shaped moon on the ground in spots. I inadvertently grip a little tighter on Naya's tentacle, watching as the moon continues its march across the sky, uncaring as to what lies in its path. The suns, meanwhile, have almost completely overlapped with each other, cowering in unison behind the moon. Bit by bit, they vanish. An incredible heaviness bears down upon us as soon as the moon completely masks the sun. Strange pressure, like an invisible hand reaching down from the skies, aiming to crush us. Every sound feels magnified. I'm startled when a small child shouts from the streets, followed immediately by a parent trying to shush them. Walking feels taboo. Moving feels taboo. Even looking away feels like it should not be permitted. Feels like the world itself is telling us this is a moment we must not take for granted. We are in the presence of something monumental. I can feel Naya's course shift slightly with every breath, but neither of us says a word. And though I don't dare drag my eyes down from the sky, not while the moon still looms above us, ringed by the thinnest of circles of light, I can see the rest of the cityscape out of the periphery of my vision. The various shapes and structures around us are lit eerily, thin streaks of light throwing their edges into sharp contrast against their shadowed sides. For one instant, the city feels like a completely foreign place, like a place I should not be. Deep, rasping exhale leaves my lungs, catching me by surprise. I must have been holding my breath. It's difficult, even breathing during this eclipse. But then the spell breaks. The eclipse of rest and cold on us dissipates as quickly as it started. The sun struggled past the moon's shadow, bathing us in a familiar light once more. By bit, the skies light up once more. Stray whoops and hollers begin to ring out from all around us, as if people are ecstatic to realize they survived something deadly. I give a long, slow exhale once more, trying to calm my own pounding heart. When I pull my hand away from Naya's tentacle, I realize I must have subconsciously been gripping it with all my strength. The tip is flushed, and my fingers have left marks. Don't worry about it. Naya addresses it before I can apologize. I would have done the same. Eclipse really is something. We're both still a little quiet as we clean up the remnants of our snack. Even once the cityscape around us is lit up like usual once more, the streets below us busy from the crowds of people steadily dispersing. We both find our thoughts lingering with that eclipse. It'd have that effect on everyone, I'm sure. Even though I don't truly believe in the superstition that the eclipse is the best day for making big decisions, I'm starting to understand why people might hold that belief. But if someone were to ask me to make a big decision right at this moment, I feel like I might be able to say yes. Phil, I need you to make a big decision. I have to say that this route is so much different than Bertan's. Because, spoiler, if you haven't seen Bertan's route, about to mention it, you go to, like, the human world, and you get, like, a human body, and you guys are homeless, and then you eventually, like, get a home together and everything. But yeah, like, you get transported to the human world, and you can't come back. Very different vibes. It felt much sadder to me. So far, this one feels super just, like, wholesome and, like, really, like, cute. I think I like this one a lot more, honestly. Like, the other route isn't bad. I think I like this one more, though. Vil. I'd helped him clean the store and started heading towards the door when Naya stops me. Yeah? I know I've already asked a lot from you today. Telling you the truth about myself and expecting you to still trust me, accepting your help in cleaning the store and tending to my work, watching the eclipse together. But if you'd allow me, I'd like to make one more request of you. If it's something I can help with, I'd be happy to. My answer slips out without a second thought. The eclipse. Naya, however, stalls for a moment. Two of his tentacles knead at each other, and I'm slow to realize it's a sign of nervousness. It's the slight edge to his voice that makes me realize Naya's request this time won't be anything so trivial. Your acceptance meant a lot to me, as did your companionship. I've come to truly value you during our time getting to know each other. So, Vil, would you... Would you be my partner? Aww, that's so cute! My heart stops in my chest. I'm not sure if I expected this question or not, but seeing Naya's reaction, I can't bring myself to hesitate. After all, he'd already spent years keeping a painful secret to himself, and I didn't want to make him wait any longer. Besides, in my heart, I already knew my answer. Absolutely. Of course, Naya, I will. You will? I nod decisively. So this is our girl, there we go, Vil. Have to say, I still love her little heart eye. Super cute. And I know last time I commented on the fact her hair reminded me of mine. My hair has grown out quite a bit since then. Not as similar anymore, but when my hair was shorter, it was kind of like that vaguely. More pink. Naya, the fact that you trusted me enough to tell me your secret means a lot to me. I've always considered you a good friend, of course, but being with you today, learning more about you, made me realize how comfortable I feel around you. You're amazing, I think. Why would you say it like that? Just say you're amazing. Not many people can be as kind and considerate as you, especially when they're harboring such a difficult secret. So if I can be by your side more, learn more about you, and be closer to you, I want to do it. I want to be your partner. Naya seemed stunned at first. Damn, dude. I always forget she got those big thingies. Then his tentacles reach forward in a flurry of movement. They wind about me, encasing me in a gentle but firm warmth. Firm warmth as he pulls me closer, much closer. Thank you, Vil. Thank you. You don't understand how happy you've made me. From his proximity, his voice sounds so much deeper. Every time he exhales, his breath glasses warm against my skin, and I wrap my arms around his tentacles to embrace him. I'm really glad we're both happy. Even when I pull back, one of his tendrils linger against me, as if wanting to maintain the contact. Upon close inspection, I can tell it's the one I'd been gripping during the eclipse. Damn, Vil. Still has a few dark marks, right where my fingers squeezed at it. I guess I got a little ahead of myself, wanting to hold you. Naya chuckles, brushing the tentacle up against my cheek. Just a little bit. But that's not a bad thing. Naya has always been comfortable to be around. His presence has always been soothing. I've always been aware of it since I'd started delivering to his store. But here and now, it feels completely different. We share a secret. And we shared a very special moment together beneath the darkened sky lit only by the ring of the eclipse. Even if neither of one of us truly believes in the auspicious powers of the eclipse, we can't help feeling like something special brought us together. It's all the more reason we want to be close to each other, to get to know each other more, to be with each other. You know what? I don't want to have to age restrict this video. So right now, you're going to be looking at a black screen. Okay? You're just gonna... You're gonna be looking at a black screen. I will just say that when I said reading about the tentacles, sometimes, you know, it was hard not to comment like something about that. It has come full circle. They are getting to know each other better. That much is for sure. If you know, you're just gonna have to look this one up yourself, please. Or, I don't know, DM me on Twitter, and I'll send you a screen. I can't. With the Bertan and Vil scene, it was pretty, like, tame. You couldn't really see anything. Vild has one of his tentacles in her mouth, and you can see her butt. I would have to age restrict this. I'm sorry. You'll be allowed to see the screen again when they aren't being young lover hooligans. Okay. Let's continue. Naya's body is warm, much warmer than I'd anticipated. I'd noticed before that his tentacles are warm, of course. The flesh is sensitive in some spots, throbbing beneath the touch of my fingers. Some are thicker than others, some are very sensitive, and some are frail, while others are strong enough to easily lift me off my feet. But all of them are perfectly gentle as they glide across my body, never letting me forget their presence. Even when one coils around my waist, lifting me up effortlessly, the tentacle's flesh is soft and careful. Naya treats me like something precious he would never want to break, even as he surrounds me. Not an inch of my body goes untouched, it feels like. Though the tentacles vary in size and function, all of them are dexterous, and they never stop roaming my body in search of unexplored places. The inside of my thigh, the underside of my ribcage, the deep furrows between the spines on my back, the bottom of my abdomen, the nape of my neck, the curve of my collarbones. They touch me in spots I'm not used to being touched, consistently making their presences known. It's almost cruel how Naya is able to do so much to me, while I have a harder time doing the same. He laughs when I tell him as much. You know, if it wasn't for her having the tentacle in her mouth, I feel like I could almost get away with showing this, but that's just it's too implied. Goodness. The tendril looped around my waist pulls me closer, closer until the very core of his body hangs close above my back. From this proximity, I can almost feel each breath and throb of his body. I can hear the slick of saliva each time he licks his lips, and the rush of blood through the fine veins of his tentacles. I can see the way his body continues to flush darker. Even as he says he doesn't mean to tease me, he continues to explore. A tentacle reaches up to touch against my temple, then very gently drags downward, brushing against my cheek. From small act of revenge, I take it in my hands and bite the tip. I don't bite hard, of course, just hard enough for him to feel a slight nip of teeth. The tentacle jumps in response, twitching sharply in my hands, perhaps from the pain, perhaps from the slick feeling it inside my mouth, perhaps both. Either way, I find myself enjoying the reaction, so I continue. If Naya wants to explore my body, he can. I'll even help him feel everything there is to feel. When I touch my tongue against the tip of the tentacle, it jolts again. The various tentacles wound up my body slow down as if to say, point taken. I laugh as best as I can around that mouthful of Naya's tentacle and pull my head back just enough to give him a kiss. Then I let him touch up my tongue once more to encourage him. After so much time spent keeping his distance and keeping his secret, he's earned the right to be as close as he likes, I think. Naya continues to explore and I gladly welcome it, moving to allow him more and more access to myself. The inside of my throat, the sensitive dip below my sternum, and the deepest, most intimate parts of my body. I wonder what those could possibly be. We get to experience them together. Welcome back. You are now allowed to look at the screen again. I kept debating, like, I could probably leave it in. Technically, I would probably have to age restrict the video, just, you know, on principle. Which, I don't know, I had to read all that, and I feel like that might be enough to have to age restrict the video. I might as well. Like, most of the series is age restricted, minus, like, the beginning parts of Naya's route. But I don't know, that just, even age restricted, I'd feel like my face is probably red right now. I think I'll still do a black screen. My apologies. Stepping onto the streets the day after the eclipse is a surreal feeling. Overnight, it seems the city has reverted back to its usual self. People tromp about at leisurely paces, pause to greet each other, and ask how they are. The atmosphere is pleasant but tranquil. The only traces of eclipse remain, stores that don't open their doors again because the owners left for other ventures, the remains of celebratory banners strung over some doorways, and abandoned honey liquor container here and there. It's impossible for anyone to forget the eclipse actually happened. Anyone who witnessed the way the skies went dark would surely remember it for a long time to come. But we all have to move on. Of course, I resume my usual route the following day. My boss and I have only a few moments to talk about how our eclipses went. His went wonderfully, he says, and mine as well, I say. A simple answer, but that's all I really need to say. My route stays largely the same, regardless of the eclipse. Only the amount of salt varies slightly, and that's trivial. But there is one significant difference. Near the end of my route, I find my feet moving faster, my pace quickening. My claws kick off the dirt quickly enough to leave small dust clouds in my wake. I need to brace myself hard to avoid skidding around a corner as I head down a familiar stretch on the street. Even from blocks away, a familiar scent greets me, as if welcoming me home. Naya's store. It becomes the highlight of my everyday. Getting to throw the door open and greet Naya, regardless of if he's requested a delivery that day or not. He always greets me with open tentacles, embracing me and holding me close. Something he never wants to let go. That was really cute. I really liked that. Like, my thoughts. Okay. I really liked it. I liked it definitely more than Bertan's ending, which Bertan's ending was interesting. It was really weird, but it was interesting, really cool. It was cute too. But I don't know. I'm a sucker for like the cute little soft ending. I like Naya's a lot. It was really good. I have to say, I feel like I did not get as blushy reading Bertan's like little romance scene. I feel like this one was maybe a little spicier. I feel like it was a bit spicier. It's making me question my life choices. No, I thought it was cute. I enjoyed the route a lot. And, yeah, that means this is the final part in the series, because I decided from the get-go that at most I was gonna do 2 routes, because I just don't have it in me to do all 3, and I don't really consider myself to be the type of person who needs to, like, do completionist stuff, where, like, I don't plan on my channel becoming one where it's like, here's all the endings for this game. Mainly just, I don't have the patience for, like, really long, drawn-out series. I get distracted and drawn away from games very, very quickly. If you enjoyed, I really hope you'll consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you'll consider joining me in future videos, because I have some fun stuff planned. Winter Visual Novel Jam is like a month or 2 away, and I plan on doing that for sure, like covering that like I did with the October Jam, because that's so much fun. I also plan on doing the Frog Detective trilogy, because it looks really cute, and it just came out on Game Pass, which, fun fact, I play a lot of my games through either Gamecast or itch.io. I also am planning on covering, or playing, the Waterborne, the first game, and our Wonderland at some point. I will get around to them. I promise. I just wanted to finish the series off pretty badly, that way it wouldn't be, like, in the back of my head. I hate having unfinished things, because then they'll just be bouncing around the back of my brain all day. So, wanted to finish it before I started something new. I will be continuing Slime Rancher. It'll probably be very infrequent. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!